There's this inherent gut-wrenching mystery to missing persons cases, isn't there?
Yeah.
The heartbreak, the searching, just endless questions.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
sometimes the answers when they finally come are just utterly bizarre.
exactly. What happens when someone vanishes, only to be found somewhere? Well, somewhere that defies all logic, a place you'd never even think to look.
That's precisely what we're going to unpack today. Our mission here with the deep dive, as always, is to cut through the noise, give you those key insights, and really help you make sense of complex stuff fast.
Yeah,
So today we're diving into something that's frankly as baffling as it is tragic, missing persons cases with truly unbelievable endings.
right. Our deep dive today is titled 10 Tragic Missing Persons Cases That Ended in Unlikely Places. And we've pulled together some fascinating sources that really take us on a journey into the strange, the unbelievable, and, yeah, the heartbreaking.
Quite the collection.
To give you some context, just think about this. Over 600,000 people go missing every year in the U.S. alone. Now, thankfully, most cases get resolved. But the ones that don't, well, they can lead to outcomes that seem to defy any kind of rational logic.
And what's really striking, I think, is how these specific cases highlight the sheer unpredictability of life and, well, death. For the investigators and especially for the families, my goodness, these become these eerie, almost unbelievable discoveries.
Yeah.
They often raise more questions than answers. How could someone possibly end up there?
And when we say unlikely places, we really mean it. You should get ready for this. We're talking everything from like decorative dinosaur statues to the pipes of a hotel behind coolers in closed supermarkets even inside a shark.
It sounds like fiction.
It really does. It makes you consider the sheer improbability and what it tells us about maybe the hidden spaces all around us.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Some of these stories you might genuinely find stranger than fiction, but they are absolutely real.
Where do we start?
Well, let's start with one that, sounds like something out of a quirky movie, but it's not. We're going to Santa Coloma de Gramenet, just outside Barcelona, Spain. This happened in 2021.
Okay.
It involves an unnamed 39-year-old man who was found inside. Get this. A papier-mâché stegosaurus statue.
A stegosaurus statue?
Yep.
Seriously, how did anyone even find him or figure out how he got in there? That's wild.
It was actually a father and son. They noticed this strong smell coming from the statue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when the father looked through a crack in the dinosaur's leg, he saw the body. The theory investigators came up with is that the man dropped his cell phone and was trying to retrieve it. He seems to have entered the statue head first, but then got trapped inside the leg section. Couldn't get out.
Oh, it's awful.
And what makes it even more poignant is that he'd only been reported missing a few hours before they found him.
Oh.
That statue, by the way, it used to advertise an old cinema. They've removed it since.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of how close someone can be, yet completely hidden. Okay, so from a very public dinosaur in Spain, let's pivot to another case. This one also has that strange proximity paradox. Someone vanishes, but is found somewhere incredibly mundane, yet totally overlooked.
Right.
This is the case of Larry Ely Muriel Moncada, 25 years old. He disappeared from Council Bluffs, Iowa, back in November 2009.
And wasn't found for almost 10 years, which is just staggering.
10 years?
Yeah. And when he first disappeared, the reports mentioned he was disoriented, maybe because of medication he was taking for anxiety. He was hearing voices, apparently ran out during a snowstorm wearing very little clothing. So that context is important for understanding his state of mind.
Okay, so 10 years is an incredibly long time. Where was he finally found that it took so long?
Well, the discovery wasn't until January 2019. It was made by a contracting firm that was removing equipment from a supermarket, a no-frills supermarket, that had actually closed down back in 2016.
So an abandoned supermarket.
Essentially, yeah. And they found him behind a large cooler unit.
Behind a cooler? How?
The investigators think he likely climbed up onto this 12-foot cooler in the storage area. Apparently, it was a kind of unofficial break spot employees sometimes use.
Okay.
And then fell into this narrow gap, maybe about 18 inches wide, between the back of the cooler and the wall. He became trapped. And the really chilling part, the noise from the cooler compressors would have completely muffled any sounds he made, any calls for help, unheard. His death was ruled accidental, no signs of trauma. It just shows how a familiar space can become this unintentional tomb.
You're right, it's chilling. How easily an everyday space turns into a trap. And speaking of the unexpected, this next case, It takes that idea to a whole different level. I still can't quite wrap my head around this one. Inside a school shark.
You're not alone there. It's an astonishing story. Diego Barria, 32 years old, from Chubut province in Patagonia, Argentina. He vanished in February 2023. He was riding his ATV home, sent a last text to his partner.
And then gone.
Gone. They found his damaged ATV and his cracked helmet later on a beach.
So they found the ATV, but no sign of him. How on earth does a shark get involved? That's not exactly standard procedure.
Not at all. It's truly shocking. 2 fishermen caught 3 school sharks, and while they were cleaning them, they found human remains inside one.
Inside the shark?
Inside the shark. Barria's family were able to identify him because of a tattoo that was still visible.
Wow.
The police theory connects the dots. They suspect he had an accident on his ATV, maybe hit a rock during a strong tidal surge, and his body was washed out to sea. It's just this tragic, bizarre confluence of events. And like you said, an incredibly rare discovery. Nobody would ever predict that.
From the vastness of the ocean, we now move to a place we usually associate with fun, with family time. But for one family, it became an absolute nightmare. This is another incredibly tragic one, highlighting hidden dangers in seemingly safe places. A hotel pool pipe.
Yeah, this is the heartbreaking story of 8-year-old Aaliyah Jaco. She loved swimming, and she disappeared, literally in a split second, from the lazy river pool at the Doubletree by Hilton Houston Brook Hollow Hotel. This was just recently, March 2024.
Oh, that's every parent's worst nightmare right there. What happened during the search, and what did they find out about the hotel itself?
Well, the search itself was distressing. Apparently, the hotel initially denied Aaliyah's mother access to the CCTV footage, which is questionable in itself. When the police got involved, the security video showed Aaliyah going underwater and just never resurfacing. They had to drain the pool. And after 13 hours of recovery efforts, they found her body. She was 20 feet inside the piping system.
20 feet inside the pipe? How does that even happen?
Her cause of death was drowning and mechanical asphyxia, and what came out later was really alarming. A city inspection found the hotel hadn't gotten a required pre-opening inspection after a remodel. Worse, the new piping was actually pulling water in instead of pushing it out like it should in a lazy river.
Pulling it in.
Yeah. And the pool wasn't compliant with federal laws meant to protect against drain entrapment, especially for children. Her mother's now filed a $1 million lawsuit, which really underscores the alleged negligence involved here.
It's just infuriating.
Yeah.
It's less unlikely and more horrifyingly preventable. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. A case from Chicago, Illinois in 2023. It's about 21-year-old Rosa Chacon from the Little Village neighborhood. She left home in an Uber, didn't take her coat or ID, told her mother, "I'll be back, Mom," but she never came back.
And her family, they faced huge challenges right away. Uber apparently wouldn't provide information initially. They felt the authorities weren't doing enough, so they actually hired a private investigator.
They had to hire their own PI.
Yes. And sadly, Rosa's body was eventually found in March 2023. She was inside a laundry cart just about 2 miles from her home.
Laundry cart. 2 miles away, another one of those cases where someone is so close, yet undiscovered for weeks. Did they ever find out what happened? Cause of death?
And this is another deeply unsettling aspect. The medical examiner's office couldn't determine the cause of death, so the case remains unsolved. It just adds another layer of pain for her family, not having those answers.
Gosh, that's tough. From one overlooked container, let's talk about another. Our next story involves Bessie Durham, 63 years old. She was a cleaning contractor. She clocked in for her shift at the Columbiana Mall in South Carolina in September 2022. Went into a family bathroom at the Belk department store to clean it and never clocked out.
She was found 4 days later by store employees, locked inside the very bathroom she was supposed to clean. And what's really striking here is that her cleaning cart, it was sitting right outside that restroom door for the entire 4 days the store was open for business.
4 days in a public mall. And nobody noticed the cart or thought to check the locked bathroom. That just seems hard to believe.
It does. Her cause of death was determined to be a cardiac event, natural causes. But her family filed a lawsuit for negligence. They're questioning why nobody noticed the cart, and they claim a store policy apparently put in place after a prior mall shooting incident required that restroom door to be kept locked. They argue this policy further exacerbated the problem, trapping her inside when she needed help.
It shows how seemingly small procedural things can have these massive tragic consequences.
Exactly.
Okay, another one that seems to defy logic, a community college ventilation system. This was in Michigan, October 2023. A 36-year-old man, Jason Anthony Thompson, told his family he was running from the police and was hiding on the roof of a building at Macomb Community College.
Right. And his disappearance led to quite an extensive search. But it was over a month later, in November 2023, that the police were called back to the college because of a foul odor coming from a mechanical room.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And the discovery was grim. They found an inverted body lodged in the ventilation system. He was identified through a tubular implant he had.
So, he didn't just stay on the roof. He somehow got inside the ventilation system. How do they think he got stuck there?
The theory is that he entered the system from the roof access point, somehow managed to burrow through the ductwork, and then got stuck headfirst where the duct narrowed and turned downwards vertically.
Oh, wow.
His death was ruled accidental asphyxia, entrapment, environmental suffocation. It's worth noting, while he did have warrants out for him and was technically a fugitive, the authorities confirmed there was no evidence he was actually being pursued by police at the time he went missing.
So he might have just panicked or gotten disoriented?
Possibly. It really makes you think about how quickly someone can get trapped trying to hide, or maybe even just exploring these unfamiliar, dangerous spaces within buildings.
That's a powerful point. The desperate things people might do when scared or confused. Okay, now, this next case is far more complex and quite violent. It involves a truck bed toolbox. This happened in Spokane, Washington. It concerns 49-year-old Janelle Martinson. She apparently struggled with addiction and had a really volatile relationship with a man named Colton Russell.
Yes, and the history there is dark. There was a prior incident where Russell had severely beaten her and then just abandoned her.
That sets a terrifying backdrop.
It does, and Martinson's last texts, sent in November 2023, are chilling. She sent them to her cousin and friends while she was out camping with Russell and his new girlfriend, a woman named Kiara Morgan Weiland. The text said things like, "Please come get me, I'm scared to death, and I'm afraid he's going to kill me, please."
Oh my God. Did anyone go?
Tragically, no. Apparently there had been similar calls for help in the past that hadn't resulted in immediate danger, so maybe they didn't realize the severity this time. After she missed Thanksgiving, her family reported her missing.
And what happened then? What did the investigation uncover about Russell and Morgan Weiland and ultimately Janelle?
Well, later, both Russell and Morgan Weiland were found dead themselves. A search of their house turned up blood splatter, a bloody sponge, cut carpet, clear signs of violence.
Okay.
And this is particularly disturbing. Investigators found that Morgan Weiland had recently searched YouTube for serial killer couples and how to dispose of dead bodies.
Oh, that's chilling. Where was Janelle?
Janelle Martinson's body was eventually found inside a truck bed toolbox. Later, another associate, a man named Brandon Kenny, confessed. He admitted to killing Russell and Morgan Weiland, but he claimed that Russell had first admitted to him that he had accidentally killed Janelle and then forced Kenny to help him move her body into that toolbox.
So a confession within a confession. What was her actual cause of death?
Blunt force injuries, this case. It's not just an unlikely hiding place, it's a horrific illustration of violence, concealment, and just a devastating chain of events.
Truly disturbing. Our ninth case is also deeply disturbing in a different way. It involves the tragic death of a little girl, 5-year-old Ashley Zhao, in North Canton, Ohio. Her parents, Ming Chen and Liang Zhao, owned a restaurant called Ang's Asian Cuisine.
Yeah, this one is incredibly sad. Ashley had apparently lived with her grandmother until she was 4. When she came back to live with her parents, her mother, Ming Chen, reportedly became frustrated with what she saw as disobedient behavior.
And what happened?
In January 2017, Chen hit Ashley multiple times on the head. Her husband, Liang Zhao, tried to revive her, but they didn't call for help. Instead, they drove to their restaurant.
To the restaurant?
Yes. And they hid Ashley's body inside the restaurant's freezer, concealed within a salt container.
Oh, that's unthinkable. So they hid her body instead of getting help.
Yeah.
What did they do then? How was she found?
About 12 hours after hiding her, they called the police and reported Ashley missing. They claimed she'd wandered off from the restaurant.
They staged a disappearance.
It appears so. Ashley was found inside the restaurant freezer the next day during the police search. Chen was eventually sentenced to 22 years for involuntary manslaughter and other charges. She'll be deported after her sentence. Zhao got 12 years for obstructing justice and corpse abuse. It's just a stark, awful reminder that sometimes the hiding place is chosen out of sheer desperation to cover up an unthinkable act, shattering that fundamental family trust.
Absolutely heartbreaking. Okay, to conclude our deep dive into these astonishing cases, let's turn to Joseph Edward Mejica. He was 40 years old, disappeared in Oakland, California back in August 2020. He was experiencing homelessness at the time, and his family had offered a $5,000 reward.
Right. And his discovery didn't happen until almost 2 years later, March 2022. A construction worker found him while tearing out a wall inside the Henry J. Kaiser Convention Center.
Inside a wall. And that convention
Yeah.
center hadn't it been closed for years?
Yeah, it had been shut down since 2005, so over 15 years.
So how did they even identify him after all that time inside a wall of an abandoned building?
It was quite unique, actually. The coroner found a tubular implant in Mejica's leg. They were able to match the serial number on that implant to old hospital records.
Wow, that's some detective work.
It really is. Then they confirmed the ID with DNA. The theory is that Mejica might have been in the building, possibly trying to take copper wiring. Apparently, he was known to do that at construction sites and maybe fell from an upper area, like the roof space above the walls. His body then slipped down into the cavity space within the wall
And just stayed there.
and stayed there. His death was believed to be accidental. This case, much like the one with the college ventilation system, really shows how these old, unused buildings can become these hidden hazards, trapping people in ways nobody would ever anticipate.
These cases, they're all incredibly tragic, but they really do offer these surprising, almost unbelievable insights into the unpredictable nature of missing persons investigations, don't they?
They absolutely do.
From something as mundane as a supermarket cooler to the truly bizarre like a decorative dinosaur or, yes, even a shark. The places these searches end up are often completely illogical. Yet, somehow the truth eventually comes out.
And our core mission with this deep dive, was to try and give you a clearer understanding, maybe even that aha moment, even when dealing with such somber material. These stories, they really highlight the ingenuity and sometimes just the sheer luck involved in discovery, however sad the final outcome is.
Yeah.
It also forces us to think about what a thorough search really means. Sometimes it has to involve thinking way beyond the obvious, looking in every nook, every cranny, even the ones that seem impossible.
So what does this all mean for you as someone taking all this in? Given these extreme examples people found in places literally no one would ever think to look, it definitely raises an important question, I think. In a world where information, technology, surveillance, it's all constantly evolving. How might our definition of a thorough search, or even what it means to be missing, how might that continue to be redefined in the years to come?